All right, what is up, traders? What's up, tycoons? Super excited for today's video. We're going to talk about natural gas. Lots of news to cover. We're going to cover some things about Russia. All right, dive into what's really happening over there. We're also going to take a look at some of the other news headlines right now, LNG pipeline exports. All right, we have some news in Florida. That's my home state. So shout out you crazy Floridians like me. Some big deals going on there. All right, and then Saudi Arabia and Turkey also, having some pretty big news. So we're going to cover all of that in today's video. Go over Norway as well. There's some news over there. Take a look at the charts. All right, we are going to break down the futures 4-hour chart. We're going to take a look at a bigger macro weekly chart right here, and it's looking pretty good, guys. It's looking pretty good to me, honestly. I'm going to give you guys my honest thoughts and opinions. And then I also want to include another stock in here. It's called FCG. We're going to go over why I'm including this stock in today's video, and then also Boyle. All right. And of course, got to break down Boyle for you guys. It looks like it's appearing to be on the verge of a breakout. We're going to see if that breakout has any, possibilities to the upside, what are some of the targets to the upside, and things like that. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. As always, the content provided on the channel is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be relied upon as legal, financial, or investment advice. So please be sure to read through the full disclaimer. I do want to mention, if you're new to the channel, I started a completely free newsletter. It's called Investment Intelligence. Okay, there's a link in the description. It's really good, free, valuable finance content coming straight to your inbox. I also try to include a couple trade ideas in there every single week. This was a trade idea on Tesla a few weeks back. All right, going over the chart setup, and you can see that that played out very nicely. If you trade options, that was a very nice trade, very profitable trade. Even if you don't trade options, it was a really nice trade on the share price. It's not just things like Tesla. Of course, everybody trades Tesla. I've also been pretty bullish on energy as a whole for a while. And this was a trade idea on ExxonMobil. All right, back when Exxon was around 111 and it ran up to 117. Nice little trade there as well. Okay, heading up towards that 119 price target near 120. All right, and it's not just long positions either. Do have some short trade ideas. This is a trade idea on SWK. This is Stanley Black & Decker from over a month ago, and you can see we had the rising wedge, and the target projection was for it to drop down, break through that rising wedge, and you can see that that played out very nicely over here when you take a look at the updated chart. So sign up for that if you guys are fans of free, valuable content coming straight to your inbox. It's a great way to support the channel while also get some free, valuable content. There's a link in the description as well as a comment section. I also do want to mention that I do viewer requests every single week. All right, you can come on here, request a YouTube video, all right, via the Ko-Fi page. You can also book a one-on-one personal session with me. I do 30-minute and 1-hour sessions. I do those every week as well, and we can work on getting a scheduled time together. You can do all of that through the Ko-Fi platform. Just simply click on commissions here, and it'll take you to the different things available, such as the coaching sessions or requesting a video. With that being said, let's get into the video. Russia slashes forecast for natural gas export price for 2024 to 2026. The Russian government cut its price forecast outside the former Soviet Union for 2024 to 2026, according to figures presented by the Economy Ministry on Friday. Now, natural gas prices have been rising ahead of the contract expiration. And when we take a look, all right, there's a huge gap up that we're seeing on the futures contracts today when we look at the futures charts, and that's because of the rollover in the futures contracts, all right? So remember that, and that's why the futures look like they're up so much. And when you take a look at Boyle, it's not reflecting the same type of gains. Now, Putin's war machine risks running out of fuel, so Russia is banning the export of gasoline and diesel. And this was something that made major headlines across the globe here recently about, basically Russia indefinitely banning the export of gasoline and diesel. And now you have Gazprom rushes with new pipelines to secure stable gas supplies to China, right? They're basically doing this and rushing to work on this new pipeline so that way they secure and don't fail on the agreement that they had with China to supply, natural gas to China. Now, the natural gas prices forecast, the futures reflect weather uncertainties and export shifts. Weather data hints at a calm U.S. climate impacting nat gas futures, while LSEG notes a September gas output dip, yet foresees rising LNG-driven demand. And, you can see that a little bit more if you look at the LNG and pipeline exports on the rise. Despite the daily fluctuations, LNG exports and pipeline activities are set to climb. They predict that U.S. gas demand, including exports, will marginally increase from 94.5 billion cubic feet to 94.8 All right, this aligns with their Monday outlook. And some of the highlights basically of this news article was that, mild October weather forecast influenced the natural gas market sentiment. A decrease in U.S. LNG exports is observed, affecting the market. October futures traders shift focus to the November contracts, and weather projections highlight mild U.S. conditions, reducing gas demand. And here we have Chesapeake Utilities Corporation. All right, they basically came to an agreement to acquire Florida City Gas from NextEra Energy for $923 million in cash. Now, NextEra Energy is also another stock, okay, that's out there to trade. It's NEE. The deal means that Chesapeake's Florida business will account for a majority of the company's revenue. All right, FCG serves approximately 120,000 residential and commercial natural gas customers across 8 counties in Florida, including Miami-Dade, Broward, Brevard, Palm Beach, Hendry, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River. Its natural gas system includes about 3,800 miles of distribution main and 80 miles of transmission pipe. So big deal here happening in Florida. Saudi Arabia is considering a surprising bet on Iranian oil and gas. Iran has around $50 billion in oil gas projects in the work. And following the resumption of relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, the latter is looking to invest in Iran's hydrocarbon industries. Saudi Arabia is set to play its part in this turbocharging of Iran's oil and gas industry, initially by investing in its petrochemical sector. Turkey also is to start supplying gas to Romania as exports reach demands. They recently just signed basically a little agreement here as well, a nice little deal. And you can see that natural gas jumps 1% with the Norway supply disrupted here. All right, so, nat gas started the week off mildly in the green, up 1%. The U.S. dollar has been facing headwinds in the UAW strikes and the U.S. government shutdown tail risk. This has been also affecting the stock market, right? The United Auto Workers strikes and the U.S. government shutdown tail risk. All right, and U.S. natural gas prices are an ascending trend line formation and could break above $3. Now, $3 is going to be very interesting, okay? That's when a lot of people are actually going to potentially step back into the natural gas trade and into the natural gas market, looking to potentially go bullish once it gets back above $3. Now, they initially broke higher as the Norwegian supply of LNG to Europe is getting distorted again. Several Norwegian were set to reopen or ramp up their production. However, several headlines issued this Monday are pointing to further delays and shutdowns for longer, right? So that's basically a summary of that article. If we go into here and take a look at the 4-hour chart for natural gas futures, and this is on the MCX futures, okay? You can see this massive gap up, right? This huge gap up here. Okay, remember, this is due to contracts, okay? That's what these little symbols mean is, basically the contracts rolling over. All right, and so that's what ultimately, is leading to this is the future contract rollover. Now, what's really interesting is that its current level is holding above this 239.7. All right, this has been a pretty critical area. And if we can actually stay above here, then we have a really good chance of heading towards the top of this demand zone. Right now, we basically have this huge megaphone pattern, okay, with these two expanding trend lines here, and this is going to push price aggressively, okay, and it's going to keep expanding. And to me, in my opinion, it looks like we're headed for, right, the next time to the upside, right? It looks like it's trying to head back towards an upside, essentially test the upside of this rather than test the downside. Okay, we've already tested the upside here, already tested the downside here, right? We've done a good job of testing this megaphone pattern here. We're going to see if we can actually do that and sustain some momentum here in the natural gas futures, and try to head up towards there. But there's some very important levels right around 250 here, on the MCX chart that we really need to pay attention to. This futures contract roller does have it overbought here, right? A big signal and a really easy signal to start spotting for beginners is if you use the RSI and the MACD. When you see the RSI in overbought territory and then you see it followed by a MACD crossover to the downside, that's usually been a pretty good indicator that price is going to have a significant pullback, right? You can see that over here. And same thing, I warned you guys when we were here. I said, hey, watch out for the MACD crossover. Watch out for the break of this trend line here, right? You can see we had this aggressive trend line upwards. We broke the trend line, got the MACD crossover, and the RSI was overbought, and we pulled back. Same thing here. We broke the trend line, MACD crossover, RSI was overbought. So right now, even though we are in this overbought territory, you know, the MACD, okay, is nowhere near getting a bearish crossover. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Oftentimes these gaps do tend to fill. So you need to be very cautious that, you know, it's very possible natural gas futures could, you know, roll over and try to end up filling that gap to the downside. All right, but when I take a look at the weekly chart here, and this is more of the macro count, it's looking really good to me right now. There's two scenarios painted on this chart. I'm going to break them down for you. The bears are going to say that this is a 1 down, 2 up, 3 down, and then we have a B, C, D, E here, and wave 5 is going to come down to about $1.08. Okay, you know, again, that's what these numbers are on the chart: 1 down, 2 up, 3 down, 4 up, 5 down. Okay, markets, if you're not familiar, tend to move in 3-wave and 5-wave structures, and so your 5-wave moves are impulsive. All right, meanwhile your 3-wave moves tend to be corrective. So that would be an ABC, right? A 3-wave move be your A, your B, and your C. And that's the scenario that I think we're trying to get right now. Okay, we have an A down, B up, C down. Okay, and then we're putting in this triangle pattern here with the A, B, C, D, E. Okay, and you know, to me, it looks very possible that we're going to break out here. If we were to just draw, you know, some simple trend lines, right? We already have our upwards trend line here. So we'll just go ahead and mirror that for you guys so you can see it. And then, you know, if we were to do something a little bit like this, all right, you know, I have this kind of ascending triangle pattern here essentially charted out. But you know, if you really wanted to, you could call this, you know, also a bullish channel, right? And so right now it appears that we have been trying to trade in this bullish channel, and natural gas futures have been consistently going up. Okay, they've consistently been going up really since about April of this year, and prices have continued to trend higher. We just haven't seen much follow through in things like oil, because of a different array of factors. Okay, you know, I'll get into those a little bit more once we head to the Boyle chart, but you can see we had the bullish MACD crossover here right before we headed into May. All right, late April, and it's just been straight up really since then. And you know, doing a good job. We just haven't seen really explosive moves, right? We haven't seen these explosive parabolic moves that we saw in 2022 and right before 2022. But if we can get that breakout to the upside, I think it's very possible that we're going to come back and test this $3.50 to $4 range on the natural gas futures. Okay, you know, that's an area where you take a look and you see, you know, support, support, support. So old support becomes new resistance. So it makes sense if we were to get a breakout that we would test that area for resistance up here in the future. And ultimately, we'll have to see if it can break out to the upside any further. But that's definitely something that I'm looking at as a possible scenario. And that's the scenario I favor more. Now, if we end up pulling back here, okay, and breaking through this upwards trend line we have here, all right, 233.31 or 233 essentially is going to be a big support level. And if we bounce there, retest our trend line and break through there, all right, that's what puts us at this $1.08 price target. And again, that's the bearish 5-wave scenario. Versus, you know, the bullish would be this was just a ABC correction, and now we're starting our next bullish count to the upside. Okay, this is FCG. So what this is First Trust Natural Gas ETF. This is a weekly time frame, and this is something that, you know, if you're looking to trade natural gas and you're looking for something to trade, and you just haven't been having much success with Boyle, yes, this thing is not leveraged. Yes, this thing is not going to, you know, move as quickly or as fastly, but, you know, look at the chart for this one. It's much different, right? You see, you know, this is bottom left to upper right, right? And that's very textbook bullish. Okay, just from that standpoint. Again, on this one, it looks like we're getting 5 waves. Okay, we have our 1 up, 2 down. All right, wave 3 is supposed to be your largest and most impulsive wave, and you know, should be another 5-wave count, right? So we got 1 up, 2 down, 3 up, 4 down, 5. That's for our wave 3. And I think we're putting in another A, B, C, D, E triangle right here with the A, B, C, D, E. We got the breakout to the upside. And so we're going to see, is this a pullback, you know, and potentially pullback for a retest of this trend line to head higher, or can this thing continue its momentum to the upside? If we can break out past this level here, just under $32, $35.29, $39.56, and ultimately $45, those are going to be your wave 5 targets. And we'll just have to see how far it can extend into that. Remember, of course, this is a weekly time frame, so it is going to take longer for this to play out. But this is also a weekly time frame here. So, you know, both of these charts At the moment appearing bullish. Things can change in the future, but we're going to see, how these play out, and they're going to take some time to play out, right? It's not going to play out over the next week or two. These are going to take months to play out and really give us a clear picture of where things are heading. When we look at Boyle, okay, Boyle, a really good trade opportunity has been each time it's been bouncing off of its bullish divergence. So what that is when you have a low here, then you have, a lower low, right? So clearly the price is in this downtrend right here. And when you look at the RSI, you have lows here, and then you actually have higher lows here. So it's diverging here, and we're creating higher lows while price is making lower lows. And, those have been pretty good trading opportunities, and it's been bouncing off of that initial divergence trend line, right over here. And you can see, again, we had a nice little trade opportunity to the upside. Okay. And then we had another nice trade opportunity to the upside once it bounced again off of that trend line. And here lately, it's really been testing this trend line a lot. And, this is the thing you need to watch out for is if this trend line breaks, it could be a significant move to the downside, for Boyle when it comes to natural gas. But right now, we tested this trend line here, here, here. We had a false breakout right here and then reversed to the downside. And right now, it appears that really all we were doing was just coming down and filling this gap here. There's a gap from a few videos ago that I talked about where, you needed to be cautious of this little gap. All right. We were seeing lots of signs once we broke through our major support that it was going to come down and fill this gap. And that's what we did. And as soon as we did that, we consolidated here, and it's currently attempting to break out from this trend line. If we can get the breakout, there's one gap, two gaps up, right? It's a 56 and then $60. And our 38.2% retracement is going to be right here above that gap fill at 61.19. So if this thing can break out, I like it at least to run up to $60. And if it can sustain momentum, right, then we can possibly get all the way up to a 76.4 retracement at $72. And ultimately, if you can flip this level here, 67.89, your 61.8% retracement level from resistance to support, okay, then you have the odds greatly increase of getting 100% retracement, which will take Boyle back up here to about $80, roughly in that $80 range. So keep a close eye on things for now. Okay, remember that futures pattern on the 4-hour chart on the 4-hour MCX. We're looking to see if we can extend towards the upper end of that megaphone pattern. For the weekly chart and that macro chart, we're looking to see if we can break above that triangle pattern, okay, and start a bullish count to the upside. For Boyle here, we're looking to see continuation on this breakout. We don't want to see another false breakout, which is exactly what we saw here, okay? And if we do end up getting a false breakout, we need to be very cautious of this bullish divergence trend line, because if this trend line breaks after being tested so many times, right? Everybody knows the more times you test the level, the weaker it gets. Tested 2 times here, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, 9 to 10 times here. This trend line has been tested. And so, it's very possible that this thing can break. And if that does, that could coincide with Boyle coming down to retest its lows here right around $44. So that's the things you need to be cautious of, what you need to be, prepared for. Okay, there does seem to be a little bit of some, potentially positive catalyst behind natural gas and, potentially push price up higher. Price action looks like we're trying to break out on a couple of the charts, and we just need to see some follow through right now at the moment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, you can always hit me up for a coaching session. I do those one-on-one sessions every single week. Okay, and you can do that directly through the Ko-Fi platform using the link in the description or the comment section down below, as well as sign up for that free newsletter. Okay, if you guys are struggling, or maybe if you're just new to the markets, even if you're seasoned to the markets, the newsletter comes with really good, free, valuable content. And as I said, I also try to sprinkle in some free trade ideas in there for you guys as well. And, go over some risk management as well, what you want to look for a stop loss, where you want to look for some potential targets to take profit at, different things like that.